The Silmarils were the crowning achievement of Fëanor, the greatest craftsman of the Noldor. Within these 3 jewels, he captured the pure and sacred radiance of Telperion and Lorelin, the 2 trees that once bathed Valinor in golden and silver light. No earthly hands before or since could replicate their beauty, for within their crystalline shells they held not just light, but life itself. In that time were made those things that afterwards were most renowned of all the works of the elves. For Fëanor, being come to his full might, was filled with a new thought, or it may be that some shadow of foreknowledge came to him of the doom that drew near, and he pondered how the light of the trees, the glory of the blessed realm, might be preserved imperishable. Then he began a long and secret labour, and he summed all his lore, and his power, and his subtle skill, and at the end of all he made the Silmarils. Their glow was not mere reflection, but a living radiance, responding to light and giving it back in hues more marvellous than before. Vada herself, Queen of the Stars, hallowed them so that no unclean hands could touch them without being burned. They were pure, incorruptible, and yet, like all things of great beauty, they became the source of unquenchable desire. The doom of the Silmarils was written in the oath of Fëanor and his sons, sworn in fire and wrath against any who would withhold them. They brought ruin to elves and men alike, fueling endless wars and betrayals, and yet, despite the blood spilled for them, they would not remain in the hands of any who sought to possess them. One was set as a star in the sky, another was lost beneath the waves, and the last was swallowed by fire, vanishing into the depths of the earth. But what if, in the waning days of the Third Age, the long-buried fire of a Silmaril was unearthed? What if Aragorn, the last heir of Númenor, stumbled upon a jewel of legend, its hallowed radiance flickering once more in the world of fading light? Would its celestial glow bring hope against the darkness of Sauron, or, like so many before him, would Aragorn find that such a treasure comes at a cost too great to bear? And so the tale begins. As the world trembles beneath the ruin of Sauron's dominion, the very foundations of Mordor shift. The mountains of shadow, once impenetrable fortresses of blackened stone, groan and crack as if exhaling their final breath. Smoke coils in the dying air, and rivers of molten fire churn beneath the ruined plains of Gorgoroth. It is here, amidst the wreckage of war, that Aragorn walks, no longer the ranger of the north, but a king untested, gazing upon the desolation wrought by centuries of malice. The land is sundered, and where once the weight of Sauron's will pressed upon the very bones of Middle-earth, a great fissure has opened in the blackened rock. A glow, faint yet unwavering, flickers in the depths. At first it seems no different from the molten rivers that once fed the forges of Barad-dûr, but this light is steady, cold yet radiant, undimmed by shadow or fire. Aragorn, drawn by something beyond sight or reason, descends into the jagged ruin. The heat is stifling, yet he presses forward, Andúril gleaming in the dark like the ghosts of Númenor's lost flame. There, in the deep chasm, nestled among the broken bones of the earth, rests the Silmaril of Medros. It does not burn with the crimson fury of fire, nor does it glimmer with the sharp silver sheen of the stars. Instead, it is something older, purer, a light untouched by time, undimmed by the sorrows of the world, the fire of the two trees preserved in an unbreakable jewel. But the jewel burns the hand of Maedhros in pain unbearable, and he had but one hand, as had before been told, and he perceived that it was as Fionwe had said, and that his right therefore had become void, and that the oath was vain. And being in anguish and despair, he cast himself into a gaping chasm filled with fire, and so ended, and the Silmaril that he bore was taken into the bosom of earth. Aragorn reaches forth, and the air trembles. No force binds it to the rock, no spell holds it fast, and yet it is as though the very will of Arda has conspired to keep it hidden until this moment. He hesitates, his hands, calloused from years of battle, have grasped many things, but none so hallowed as this. And then he lifts it. The light does not burn him, it does not scald his flesh as it did the hands of Maedhros or the crown of Morgoth. Instead, it rests in his palm as though it has waited for him across the long ages of the world. No mortal flesh, nor hands unclean, nor anything of evil will could touch them, but it was scorched and withered. Neither could they be broken by any strength within the kingdom of Arda. Once before, a mortal hand held a Silmaril unscathed. Beren, who wrested it from the iron crown of Morgoth, guided by love and fate, now, at the end of the third age, another son of the Edain stands beneath the ruined sky, the Silmaril gleaming in his grasp. And as the winds of Middle-earth stir, it is as if they whisper of a time long past, of fire and oath, of loss and doom, and of mortal men who dared to touch the light of the West. The light of the Silmaril, untouched by the corruption of Middle-earth, begins to stir as Aragorn emerges from the ruins of Mordor. As once Beren bore it from the depths of Angband, the radiant jewel shines forth, its brilliance cutting through the shadow that still lingers over the land. Gandalf sees it, and the breath catches in his throat. His keen eyes, which have beheld the splendour of Aman and the long sorrow of Middle-earth, widen in something that is neither fear nor wonder, but both. The Silmaril has returned, not as a weapon, nor as a prize of war, but as a sign, a herald of something far beyond the reckoning of men. A jewel thought lost to time, sealed away in fire and grief, now gleams in the hand of the last king of the Dunedain. It does not sear, does not scold, for Aragorn is no thief of light, no usurper of fate. The orcs, creatures of darkness, recoil in terror, their eyes burning in its presence. The scattered remnants of Sauron's armies, broken but not yet defeated, falter and flee before the celestial light, sensing in it something far beyond the power of men. As the battle at the Black Gate rages, the Silmaril's glow sends ripples through the unseen currents of the world. Sauron's will, stretching thin as he hunts for the ring-bearer, shudders at the touch of its purity. The great eye wavers, momentarily distracted, and in that fleeting instant, Frodo and Sam, unnoticed in the wastes of Mordor, press onward toward the fiery chasm of Mount Doom. The last remnants of Sauron's host, sensing their master's ruin, wail in terror and scatter like leaves before a storm. The very air trembles, as if Middle-earth itself remembers an age long past, when the light of Valinor yet shone in defiance of the dark. And Gandalf, standing amidst the ruin of Mordor, understands. This is not mere chance. This is not the folly of fate. The light of the elder days has returned in the hands of a mortal king, not to be wielded, not to be hoarded, but to stand against the last vestiges of the shadow. As dawn crests over the blackened plains of Gorgoroth, the darkness at last begins to break. In the days that followed, the banners of the free peoples were raised over the fields of battle, the ruins of Barad-dûr crumbling into the dust of memory. And in the heart of it all, Aragorn stood, not as a captain upon the field, nor as the hidden heir of a forgotten throne, but as something greater. The discovery of the Silmaril affirms his lineage beyond question, linking him to the great kings of Númenor, to Elros, and to the very heritage of the Edain who first stood beneath the light of the West. The elves, those who still remain in Middle-earth, recognize the significance of this moment, for the return of the Silmaril is an event beyond mortal reckoning. It is as if the echoes of the First Age have stirred once more, and the fate of men stands in communion with the past. Aragorn, wise beyond his years, understands that the Silmaril is not his to keep. It is not a prize to be claimed, nor a weapon to wield. Unlike those before him who sought to possess its power, he sees it as a relic of a past age, one that belongs to the divine, not to the hands of men. With the aid of Gandalf and the remaining Eldar, Aragorn makes a choice that few would have the wisdom to make. He will return the Silmaril to the Valar, not as a mere offering, but as a bridge to mend the sundered fates of men and the blessed realm. In this act, he seeks to restore the honor of his people, proving that the Edain do not covet, but remember with reverence. And the doom of men, that they should depart, was at first a gift of Ilúvatar. It became a grief to them only because, coming under the shadow of Morgoth, it seemed to them that they were surrounded by a great darkness, of which they were afraid, and some grew willful and proud and would not yield until life was reft from them. And so, beneath the evening star, Aragorn boards a ship bound for the undying lands, not to seek passage beyond the circles of the world, but to fulfill the last task left to him. As he sets the Silmaril upon the shores of Aman, the light of the two trees gleams once more upon the land of the Valar, a radiance unseen since the elder days. A hush falls upon the immortal shores, as if Arda itself recognizes the return of something sacred. For long ages, the Edain were blessed among men, granted the land of Númenor, a realm that stood between Middle-earth and the undying lands, a bridge between mortality and the divine. But their pride, stoked by the whispers of Morgoth's shadow, turned their hearts toward folly. Númenor fell, its people sundered, its legacy tainted by the hunger for immortality. The grace of the Valar was lost, and the doom of men, once a gift, became a burden feared. Yet now, in this single act, one not of conquest, but of humility, Aragorn does what the kings of old could not. He does not seek to claim the light of the West, nor to defy the will of the Valar, but to return to them what was lost, not only in gem and radiance, but in honor. In him, the pride of Númenor is healed, not through force, but through wisdom. The long ages of exile are lifted, not through power or conquest, but through humility and wisdom. The doom of men remains unchanged, yet their honor is renewed, and for the first time in long years, the eyes of the West turn upon them with something other than sorrow. Thus ends this tale, one that bridges the echoes of the elder days with the fate of Middle-earth's last great king. Aragorn, the heir of Elendil, bore a burden unlike any before him. Not just the weight of Gondor's crown, but the light of the First Age itself. But what do you think? If Aragorn had truly found the Silmaril, what would he have done? Would he have returned it to the Valar as a gesture of renewal, kept it as a symbol of his kingship, or would the weight of its history have drawn him into a fate like those who came before? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this journey, make sure to like, share and subscribe for more tales of Middle-earth, where we unravel the great what-ifs of Tolkien's world. Until next time, may the stars shine upon your faces.